Hi guys, wanted to run through our corrections from Thursday's work. So it was questions 8, 9 and 10. Questions 8 to 10 from page 98 of your textbook. So question 8 had a mix of different stuff. It's asking about 5 fractions that are equivalent to 2 over 3. So to write an equivalent fraction, all we got to do is multiply above and below the line by the same number. So nice and simple way of doing it for me, you can just multiply each one by 2, and if you keep doing that you will get the same amount or the same fraction. So they are all equivalent fractions, but they've got different numerators and denominators. So next one then, part B, you've got 5 fractions given to you: 4 over 9, 1 over 3, 7 over 20, 2 over 5 and 1 over 10, or 3 over 10, sorry. And the question asks to arrange them from smallest to biggest. So a couple of different ways people have done this. I saw you could convert it into a decimal. If you did 4 divided by 9 on a calculator and you'd get a decimal, and you'd see whereabouts they are ordered. Lovely way I saw a couple of you doing it is by putting them in terms of one another, so we get the same denominator, and that's the best way to do it here in this case. So a number that they all go into, as I said, 9, 3, 25 and 10, and 180 is a number that they all go into. So if I do them all to be over 180, then I'll be able to put them in order nice and simply. So 9 to 1 over to 180, I'll multiply by 20, so I have to do that by the same on the top. So that becomes 80 over 180. This one is going to be multiplied by 60, so that becomes 60 over 180. That one's going to be multiplied by 9, so that becomes 63 over 180. That's going to be 20 and 14, is it? So 180 divided by 5 gives us 36, sorry. So 5 goes into 180 36 times, so I multiply 36 by 2 to give me 72. And finally 10 goes into 80 18 times, and 18 times 3 is 54. So now I have the 5 fractions in terms of the same denominator. It makes it really easy to put them in order from smallest to biggest, and you can see that that's 54, then 63, and then 60, then 63, then 72, then 80. So that one is number 1, so that's the smallest, 3 over 10, and we can't forget about that one. The next one then is 60, which is 1 over 3, and we can forget about that. The next one's 63, which is that 7 over 20, so we can scratch them out. 72 is the next one, which is 2 over 5, and finally we've got 4 over 9, which is 80. 4 over 9, which is 80 over 180. So that's the order from smallest to biggest if you put them in terms of the same fraction, or you put them in terms of the same denominator. It makes it nice and straightforward for you. Similar thing to do in question 8 part C here, and a lot of people had done this really well. A few people needed to have another quick look at this one, so I've commented on most of your work. People who got to hand it in, I have posted a little message on your page, and I've mentioned it, especially with this one, if you explained it well, or if you guys had an issue with this, to redo it. So the question asks, is 9 over 10 closer to 19 over 20 or 37 over 40? And the way to do it, as we've said, very similar to what we did in the previous question, is that I want to put each thing in terms of something over 40. So if I put them all over 40, then I can see exactly for sure which one is closer to 9 over 10, or which one is 9 over 10 closer to. Is it closer to this one or this one? So that one doesn't change, 37 over 40. To change 9 over 10 to something over 40, I've got to multiply that by 4. So that's going to become 36 over 40. Not 39, 36 over 40. And then 19 over 20. To change that to 40, I've got to multiply by 2. So that's going to be 38 over 40. So, what do we notice then? 36 actually sits in the middle, doesn't it? It says, is 9 over 10 closer to 19 over 20, which was 38 over 40, or 37 over 40? Sorry. So, is it closer to 38 or 37? It's closer to 37, isn't it? My mistake, I'm getting mixed up there. Sorry, lads. So, it is closer to 37 over 40. So 19 over 20 is further away. So we can discount that one. So we forget about that. So we can say 9 over 10 is closer to 37 over 40. And it's because when you put them with the same denominator, we can see which is closer to another. Okay. Question 9 then. The question says, last month Kira spent a fifth of our pocket money on snacks, and half of it on phone credit, and a half on credit for a phone. She put the remainder, whatever's left over, into our credit union. So I'm going to write credit for phone here so we don't get mixed up with credit union. What fraction of her pocket money did she spend? So first part is the amount she spent, which is this plus this. So I'll do 1 over 5 plus 1 over 2. I get my common denominator, which is 10. That's going to become 2 over 10, and that's going to become 5 over 10. She has spent 7/10 of her pocket money already. The question says the amount she put into her credit union was €12. So how much pocket money did she actually get for the month? So she put in the remainder, whatever was left over. She spent 7/10 already. So whatever's left over, she put into the credit union. That's going to be 3/10, because 7/10 and 3/10 gives us the full amount. So I can say that 3/10 is equal to €12. And what I want to figure out is how much did she get overall. I want to know what 10/10 are. So the way to do that, a few different ways. I would do, we know that 3/10 are €12. So I could figure out what 1/10 is. I get 1/10 by doing 12 divided by 3, which is €4. And if 1/10 is €4, then we can get 10/10 nice and simply by doing 4 times 10, which is 40, which means that she got €40 as her pocket money for the month. Part B. It says there are 45 sweets in a box. It asks us the sweets that they be divided between 3 children in the ratio of their ages. The children are aged 2, 3 and 4. So the youngest person is going to get the least amount of sweets. The oldest person is going to get the most amount of sweets. How many sweets will each child get? So we have to split that up into how many shares there are. I do 2 plus 3 plus 4. That gives me 9 shares, or 9 parts. And I have to figure out what 1 share is, if you remember. I do 1 share is equal to 45 divided by 9. And that goes in 5 times. So 5 sweets per share, isn't it? There's 5 sweets per share. So it's 2 times 5, 3 times 5, and 4 times 5 to give us how the sweets are split up. 10 is to 15 is to 20. And that is the way it's split up. 10 is to 15 is to 20. So the 2-year-old gets 10 sweets, the 3-year-old gets 15, and the 4-year-old gets 20 sweets. And again, you can add those 3 together at the end, and we end up back where we started from, so we know that we've done it right. And then finally, question 10. We got 160 people join the new gym on the first day it opened. So we got 160 people in the new gym. A quarter of them joined because they got a discount on the membership. We've got 3/8 joined because they were advised to by a doctor. So they had to do that through advice. And 1/5 of the group were motivated to join by watching the Olympics. So the question asks, what fraction of the group had some other reason for joining? So part A, I know that I've got a quarter plus 3/8 plus 1/5. All of these people had a reason to join, or had these specific reasons to join, I should say. All of the other people had a different reason, you would assume. So what we can do is we add those 3 together, and whatever's left over, whatever fraction is left over, that will tell us that they had a different reason to join altogether. So I need to get my common denominator of 4 and 8 and 5 in this case, which is going to be 40, because 4 goes into 40, 8 goes into 40, and 5 goes into 40. So change that. Again, 4 into 40 goes 10 times. So 10 times 1 gives me 10. 8 into 40 goes 5 times. 5 times 3 gives me 15. And 5 into 40 goes 8 times. And 8 times 1 gives me 8. So there I've got 33 over 40, or 33 40ths, whatever you want to say. They're the people who had one of these 3 specific reasons for joining. Whatever's left over then, as I said, is going to be 7 over 40. So 7 40ths of the people who joined had a different reason to join. They had a different reason to join. Part B. How many people joined because they were advised to do so by a doctor? So you know that 3/8 of the people joined because their doctor told them to. Now, there are 160 people that have joined this gym. So I want to know what 3/8 of 160 is. So the way to do it for me, I want to get what 1/8 is. If I figure out what 1/8 is, I can figure out what 3/8 is nice and simply. So I do 1/8 of 160. I can do 1/8 of 160 is equal to 160 divided by 8. I'm splitting that 160 into 8 different parts to get what 1/8 of it is. And that's 20 people, isn't it? 160 divided by 8 gives me 20. So if 1/8 is 20 people, I can get 3/8 by doing 20 times 3, which is 60 people. So 60 people joined the gym because they were advised to do so by the doctor. And then finally, part C, the question asked how many were motivated by to join the gym by watching the Olympics. And we got 1/5 of the people, 1/5 of the people who joined the gym joined because they were motivated by watching the Olympics. So to get 1/5 of 60, all I got to do is divide it by 5. 160 divided by 5, and that gives me 32 as far as I know. So we got 32 people who've joined the gym because they watched the Olympics and they were inspired to do so. So that's all of the corrections there. Fingers crossed it's a bit clearer for you. Stop, rewind, replay the video if you need to, and we'll be moving on to a new topic next week. So we'll get you an extra little bit to do for today's class, and then next week we'll be starting our new topic on percentages and decimals. Thank you very much.